There is nothing in Maine that compares to Baxter State Park, a wilderness area where the emphasis really is on the wilderness, more so than on recreation. The park encompasses more than 200,000 acres of rugged landscape dotted with lakes and mountains, but with no electricity, paved roads, or running water.
Andrew Vietz has been a ranger at Baxter State Park for 20 years. Before that, he had a very different job, managing editor of Down East magazine. Vietz has written a book about his Baxter experiences called This Wild Land, 2 decades as a park ranger in the shadow of Katahdin. And it seems fair to say it was a story he was destined to tell.
You write that you first dreamed about being a park ranger when you were 5 years old. Is that really true, or is that a bit of artistic liberty, a little license that you took?
It's true, and I remember telling my sister, one day I'm going to be a park ranger. I don't know why. We camped a lot and hiked a lot, but I don't know where the idea came from, but I just wanted to be a park ranger.
You could have been a ranger at a park really close to where you live. Camden Hill State Park.
Correct.
Beautiful park, wonderful trails, hills, views. It, again, sounds like a dream job. But that's not the experience you wanted. Why did you really want to be at Baxter?
I like to be a wildland firefighter, and I like to be a wilderness first responder. I just like the deep woods. I mean, I don't want to just tell RVs where to park. I want to be out and in it.
As a ranger at Baxter, Vietz does everything, from getting visitors checked in, to painting buildings, to offering advice on the best trails, to rescuing hikers on Katahdin. The rangers do it all.
A lot of folks think, oh, ranger at Baxter State Park, what a great job. They'd be surprised, I think, to learn from your book that one of the things that you have to do regularly is clean outhouses and scrub toilets.
You play 9 holes every morning, as one of the rangers likes to say. If you keep up with it, it's not as objectionable as it sounds. A lot of people like to say that must be the worst part of your job, but fetching a body bag is probably the worst part of the job.
Most of a ranger's job is dealing with people who often break the rules.
I always had sort of a reverential attitude towards the park, and not everybody does. You know, I pick up a lot of litter. Because the park's a wilderness area and is managed for wilderness first, we regulate the numbers of people that can use the park on any given day. And there's a lot of people that don't like to be told, today's not the day for you.
So many of us, when we think of Baxter State Park, we think of Katahdin. And that, of course, is the centerpiece of it. But aside from Katahdin, there is a huge park with all kinds of other things to do and see.
I feel bad sort of for the people who come to conquer the mountain and then just leave the next day and don't explore everything else there is. And I was saying to one of my 2 sons that one of my favorites is Double Top, because Double Top Mountain gives you just this unbelievable look at Katahdin. I mean, it's just right there. So in many ways, it's almost more beautiful than Katahdin, the view, because that's what you're looking at.
It's interesting because you say that just because a hiker hasn't come down off the mountain doesn't mean that the rangers automatically go up to get them.
People routinely will be stuck up there overnight, and unless we know there's an injury or the weather looks really bad or it's a child or somebody that's elderly, we allow them to come down on their own the next morning. So, and they always do.
In 20 years as a ranger, Vietz has never found an insect repellent that for him really works. He has seen, swatted, and swallowed bazillions of horseflies, mosquitoes, and black flies. And they can be vicious.
You write about, in one instance, there was a visitor, a woman who was hiking, who just got horribly attacked. The word that was used to describe her was hamburger face by the end of her ordeal.
Yes, it was something to see. I mean, probably a third again larger. Her face swelled up, death by 1,000 cuts, just blood streaming down, and the black flies were attracted by the blood, and it's just kept compounding itself, and it was pretty ugly. And then when we cleaned her all up, she looked like she had a henna tattoo. I mean, so many tiny little dots. I mentioned in the book that people are always asking me about bears, and I'm like, I've seen relatively few bears in my whole career, and I've had very few incidents where I was felt at all uncomfortable, but black flies, I would be much more afraid of black flies.
You've had all kinds of experiences there, from the heartbreaking, where people have died, to the hilarious, and everything in between. But when you put it all together, it sounds as though it's really been one of, if not the most rewarding parts of your life.
Oh, for 100%. And, you know, when I was a kid, I imagined, you know, what you think of as when you want to be a park ranger, is flying around in helicopters and putting out fires and rescuing people and, you know, interacting with animals. And I've got to do all of that and a lot more.
Retirement? It's not something Viets is thinking about. He hopes to keep working as a ranger at Baxter for many years to come.
One of the other rangers likes to joke that he's retired now, but it always used to bug him when people said it's time to go back to the real world. And he's like, what's more real than roots and rocks and dirt and, you know, weather? So, yeah, the place for me.
Place for a lot of people, but not for everyone. Again, the name of Andrew Viets' book is This Wild Land.
You can find out more about it in the 207 section of our News Center Maine website or app.